So good morning, members. Good morning, friends. Today we have Mr. Prashant Doraiswamy with us for the next edition of the VDMA CEO's Thought Leadership Series. Before we start, I would like to introduce Prashant. Prashant is the country head India Continental Corporation and Managing Director Continental Automotive India. Prashant joined Continental in 2017 and brings with him about 25 years of automotive and manufacturing industry experience. Before this, he had prior stints with Cooper Standard, Johnson Control, Ingersoll Rand, and Siemens VDO. Prashant holds a bachelor degree in mechanical engineering and master's in manufacturing engineering and technology from Bangalore University and master's diploma in business administration from Symbiosis University. So, Prashant, pleasure to have you with us today for this edition. Prashant, actually, the last 3 months have been unprecedented. The pandemic, we call it many use the term black swan effect, some call it the butterfly effect. But I think what we have seen in the last 3 months actually have really shaken the whole global economy. We are talking of a global recession of going up to 5 to 6%. The outlook for India also does not look to be too encouraging. In this COVID situation or in this crisis, Prashant, what has been the impact of COVID on continental India as well as continental globally also, Prashant, if you could share your views on that.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on this show. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If you have to talk about the impact of COVID-19, certainly this has had a long-term impact on industries across globe, including ours. If you look at the industry globally, the figures for this year, when I speak about industry and more about automotive industry, it speaks for themselves. Production is down 25% in China and US and almost 40% in the Europe. Year on year, manufacturing in China will be slightly up in the second quarter, what we see, and also in the third quarter, with Europe lagging significantly behind and US lying between the two. So recovery is likely to be the slowest in Europe among all the three big markets, where the automotive industry will report losses of billions of euros in the second quarter. So this does not bode well for European and also German companies like us, system suppliers. So economically, the second quarter will probably be most difficult of the post-war era, I would say. Though at the moment things are looking grim for the automotive industry, we believe that a real champion delivers good results even under adverse circumstances. Globally, we are continuing to focus on our growth areas, which includes assisted, automated, and the connected technologies, including services for the mobility sector. So Continental is continually innovating and developing technologies for the mobility of the future, what we call, and will continue to do so. In India, the unprecedented lockdown certainly has brought many challenges related to operations in the automotive industry. We have about 8 plants across 15 locations. So after the government relaxed the lockdown regulations for the manufacturing sector, we have gradually resumed our operations with about 40 to 50% of workforce at our manufacturing facilities, and partly aided by our automation process that were already in place. I would like to bring up an Industry 4.0 standard at this point of time, because the manufacturing facilities where we had implemented Industry 4.0 with various smart factory features which supported the resumption of works very seamlessly. So apart from resuming the production, our highest priority is to secure the supply chain and meet our customer requirements. So in total, we have made necessary changes to ensure the safety of employees. We are meticulously following all the government sectors, protocols, and the safe production practices. Additionally, we also follow some of the Continental guidelines, so to maintain the standardization of safe production. So this is what brief I would like to share.
Thank you, Prashant, for giving us an overview. Prashant, the automotive sector Now,
Yep.
when we look at the imports coming from China, it's quite dependent on Chinese imports. Almost 26% is imported from China of components, other things. Prashant, now with pandemic coming in, the global supply chain would certainly have been disrupted. And we are talking, the government is talking very strongly on vocal for local. So do you feel that it is an opportunity for the Indian suppliers, for the Indian manufacturers, and to some extent, maybe in the coming periods, we may be able to reduce this imports from China? What do you feel on this, Prashant?
No, certainly it's a very valid question at this point of time. So automotive supply chain, if you see, is one of the robust, fast evolving and lean process across industries. At Continental, we have always believed as a part of our philosophy and also strategy, what we call as in the market for the market policy. So in Continental, we consider 8 markets as the specific growth areas, which includes China, Japan, Korea, India, South America, and North America. These are called as markets. We have always invested in the localization of our services and also the manufacturing wherever feasible, and invested towards this on an ongoing basis. So the automotive supply chain is also one of the most robust across the globe, and we have planned our requirements as needed and optimize it on an ongoing basis. If I have to talk about Continental per se, our dependency on China is mostly limited to active and passive electronic components. Unfortunately, this is in one area across industry spectrums. We have a dependency on China. It's not only automotive suppliers, also consumer durables, medical equipment. So there's a lot of dependency on the active and passive components. So at this point of time, I don't think we will be able to replace the supply chain of active passive components overnight from China, because these processes, this requires a huge amount of investments, and there's already been a lot of investments which has happened in China, and they produce in billions of parts. So and also very cost effective. So at this point of time, we continue to see the dependency at least for the next 3 to 4 years across industries on active and passive components. Certainly, there is a good opportunity for localization in India for some of the other parts. So I think so that as a Continental, as a company, we continue to evolve, and as I said, our dependency is at this point of time is more limited to electronic components.
Right. Also, Prashant, you mentioned earlier that Continental, I think a lot of your business comes from the automotive sector, Prashant.
Yeah.
The automotive sector certainly is an important sector in India, contributes almost about 7 to 8% to the GDP of the country. And also for employment generation, it is an important sector. But I think automotive sector is also one of the sectors which have been badly hit by COVID. We have seen drop in the auto sales. In fact, even if we look at pre-COVID period, Prashant, the auto sector was coming down. We had a small dip in the financial year 1920, and with the forecast for 2020 to 21, we are already talking that the automotive sector would dip by somewhere around 25 to 30%, Prashant. How can, and especially during this period when people would avoid non-essential spending, where can the demand actually for vehicles be created, Prashant? Where do you see actually the automotive, or how do you see the automotive sector taking off?
Sure. So COVID-19 pandemic has hit the automotive industry, as you rightly said, very badly. As it is, we were already going through some sort of a slowdown, as you mentioned. Actually, as an industry, globally, we are dealing with 2 huge shifts, if I have to tell you. First of all, there is a technological transformation process, digitalization, assisted and automated driving, electrification services. This alone is a gigantic package for the automotive industry, which is difficult to manage for small and medium-sized companies in particular. On top of this, we are now faced with a market crisis on a scale unprecedented since 1930, which will certainly result in smaller companies coming under even more greater pressure. If there's no significant market revival during the summer, we fear a spate of bankruptcies, despite all the support measures what we have already seen. So if I had to give you numbers in terms of the globally, so in 2018, globally, the light vehicle production was in the range of about 95 million vehicles. And planning for 2019 was, people thought it will go up to 97. Unfortunately, 2019, we saw a dip from 95 to almost 83 million.
Okay.
And 83 and 2020, we thought we'll go with about 80, 81 million. Now we see we are looking at 2020 as 66.5 million. That means over a period of 2 years, from 2018 to 2020, we are seeing a dip from 95 million to 66.5 million vehicles. So which is almost come back to what we were at 2008, 2009 levels. So this is a big challenge for the industry. So in India specifically, we see an increase in demand to some extent due to social distancing norms coming into picture. Many will be motivated to move from a shared mobility and a public transport to personal mobility. So to some extent, this could boost the sales in the industry, but again, not across all the segments. But we see this happening in the two-wheelers. Two-wheelers have always been one of the strongest sectors. Two-wheelers in India reached an all-time high of 2019 when India's auto industry sold some 21 million units. 2018, we did about 25 million units. So we see a good uptake in two-wheelers and also to some extent the entry car segments. We also see good monsoon with the agricultural sector doing pretty decently well. So the A segment and the entry B segment cars also could do well during this time. These are the two markets. Certainly, we see some amount of uptake happening.
Right. And I think also, as you rightly pointed out, Prashant, the agriculture sector perhaps to some extent will help to drive and help in the sales of two-wheelers and the smaller passenger cars as people may move from two-wheelers to smaller cars out. So as you rightly mentioned, maybe from shared mobility, people who were using shared mobility may now, with the fear of pandemic, then go to small vehicles. So I think perhaps rightly point out, I think the two-wheeler segment and the entry-level car segment, I think this should remain stable to some extent, Prashant.
Yeah.
Prashant, what is your take on electric vehicle e-mobility? Now, India was coming in a big way. There was a big boost, FAME 1, FAME 2. Do you think the focus on e-mobility would continue despite of the present crisis, or do you think this will take a backseat for some time?
I think electric vehicles are a long ongoing trend. I firmly believe, despite the pandemic, the EV market shall remain positive. As per EV market forecasted by Frost & Sullivan, e-rickshaws, e-autos, and e-two-wheelers are the most promising segments for the electrifications in India and are expected to account for over 4 million units by 2025. So I think there will not be a much disruption happening in the on these three segments which I just mentioned. When it comes to the passenger cars, I think there could be a small dip for a short period of time, maybe next 4 to 6 months, and after that we see coming back to normal sales, whatever it was projected. While these numbers might fluctuate a little, the overall impact certainly will remain positive. With more people moving towards personal mobility, and we see an uptake in the e-scooter might be an option that will attract consumers, especially. In addition to battery-powered electric vehicles, globally, what we see, a future-leading technology of this kind could be the fuel cell as well. So you see there's a lot of discussions around fuel cell happening. So this is ideal for long distance, heavier vehicles and for driving in urban and rural areas with inadequate infrastructures. So the benefit, longer ranges are comparable, low overall emissions, similar to the battery-powered electric drives. Moreover, the technologies, expertise, and the value add share required for fuel cells are also closely related to what you call this familiar internal combustion engine technology. So this presents the industry with a huge opportunity. So these are two future technologies. Certainly, we see an uptake happening.
And Prashant, also Continental is active in the e-mobility segment. So how do you see exposure increasing in the e-mobility segment in the next couple of years?
That's what you see. One of our division, which was Astral Powertrain, now it's called Vitesco Technologies, is the range of products are dedicated for e-mobility, which includes the complete motor vehicle control unit, the induction charging units, drives. So the complete range of products we have, and we have successfully launched some of the high-powered e-motors in China and in Europe. So, and also we do have a system for 8 kilowatt hour motor for two-wheelers, for e-scooters as well. So we are betting high on electrification, certainly as a third. It may have a small dip at this point of time, but we see a future uptake certainly happening in the electrification.
Good. Prashant, also the pandemic has thrown, I mean to say, it has come totally unprecedented. We did not have any precedents of this, and it calls also on industry leaders, new leadership skills and resilience. So what would be 2 or 3 tips you would like to give to the CEOs of German companies? Prashant, how should leaders handle this present situation and the present crisis?
Sure. So I always believed in 2 things. One is transparent communication. The power of open communication is impactful even during tough times, not just with employees, but across all the stakeholders, I would say. It takes a great deal of consciousness from leaders amid the crisis and appear to maintain a sort of a balance that is neither too negative or too overly optimistic or promising. Yeah. Right from the state of crisis, the safety of our people was our biggest priority. So the entire organization stood together as a team in handling this situation with a commendable sense of ownership and demonstration of our organizational value system per se. So for me, transparent communication. Number 2 is agility. So these are extraordinary times, and none of us have an unprecedented for this. So the only way to handle such a situation is by quickly adapting to the changing scenarios and working together to achieve the goals. Yeah. So how do we bring in this agility? For example, if I have to say, when you see such an unprecedented reduction in the sales, the first thing as a businessman you attack is the inventory. How do you reduce the inventory? So to do that, certainly you need to have agile processes and you have to act swiftly in terms of reducing that. That is one example. So overall, this crisis has certainly provided a huge boost in terms of flexible working models. So we had already, as a company, introduced this flexible working conditions worldwide sometime in 2016, and now we are seeing the benefits of this. That's why for us, the overnight shift from work from office to work from home has been very smooth. So nonetheless, the importance of personal contact in the office must also not be underestimated. But should we be encouraging our staff to work 2 or perhaps 3 days a week going forward from their homes? If you ask me, sure, why not? So many are reporting that they are more productive when they're working from home. At the same time, we also have a contrary that some of our colleagues find more taxing than working from home. So we need to balance this preferences going forward.
And what you're saying is this experience of working from home, that has proven to be quite effective for Continental.
Yes, I can imagine. See, we have the entire tech center. We have in excess of 5,000 people, and today less than 15% of the people are back in offices, and we are able to and it's not a services company. Continental is a product company, and the entire product development process among this 5,000 people network is happening while they are sitting at home. So only those people who have a dependency on the company infrastructure per se for testing, for vehicle testing, software testing, they come to office. But otherwise, we want to go slow and steady. We don't want to hurry and get into a problem. That's the reason we continue to wait and watch how the environment is evolving. And as of now, we have only about 15% working from offices.
Office, okay. Prashant, perhaps my last question to you is, we talk about recovery pattern or recovery model now. Initially, when the first phase of lockdown, people were hopeful that India may be able to touch a slight plus 1%, but then as the lockdown got extended, there are various alphabets that have come. Some say V-shaped, some say U-shaped, W-shaped, L-shaped. I think a whole range of alphabets are being discussed, how the recovery pattern could be. In your views, Prashant, how do you see the recovery of the Indian economy, and where do you see Indian economy at, let's say, end of this financial year?
Sure. So I think there are a lot of factors influencing this current economic situation, and we will have to see how this play out at the ground level. With the hope that a pandemic situation stabilizes soon, with vaccine in place, government policies will have such a significant role to play in the road to industry recovery. It is undoubtedly going to be a challenging year. If I have to talk about automotive, we foresee for the calendar year 2020, this could be the terms of volumes or the sales growth will be to an extent of minus 40% compared to 2019. So that's the number we are looking at.
Okay.
Will it start reviving in 2021? We have to wait and see. And also, this is going to depend on many other external factors, what's going around. So for 2020, certainly we see a 40% dip, and this is not a small dip. So for 2020, global, I just talked about market observes predict a global production of under 66.5 million vehicles, which is about 30 million vehicles reduced over the last 2 years. The extent of crisis is disproportionately higher than what we experienced in 2008 or 2009. So this is evidenced by the unemployment figures you see across countries. So it is further evidenced through the significant drop in the GDP, the projected GDP for India with about 1 to 1.5%. In spite of all the rescue packages each of the governments have provided. So we strongly believe there will be a significant decline in the air travel in the next few years, and that more can be achieved through today. All of us are becoming experts in terms of Microsoft Teams or Skype, so video conferences. So this naturally may have an effect on office space requirements as well. So in the coming years, the greatest productivity potential in the industry, I feel, lies in the digitalization of the business processes. In addition, network structures are also being promoted. So today, nobody thinks of asking whether someone is included in the video conference or not. Controlled exercise through hierarchy is reduced through digitalization. I think this is one positive we see, and this is something we are actively promoting. So in summary, if I have to tell, so we need to maintain a balance between the economic, ecological, and the social climate. If companies are expected to do more than the market is willing to pay for the on the ecological side, they will not be able to do enough in terms of the innovation on the economic side. At the same time, if the industry is driven by the need to reduce spending and enforce layoffs, social climate, of course, suffers. So in pursuit, a threefold climate protection, I would say triad, climate protection strategy and the continuous readjustments are necessary. So however, the necessary courage to make this and to act quickly in situation of crisis is very much required, if I have to sum it up that way.
Right. I think excellent, Prashant. You've summarized it very well, and on behalf of the German Engineering Federation, Prashant, thank you for sparing your time to be with us today. And thank you also for the tips you have given our viewers. We wish you all the very best as you reboot and restart the operations. And although, as you correctly said, this financial year is going to be tough, but I think we have to be optimistic, have resilience, and hopeful that the situation as we go ahead, maybe it may improve slightly during the festive season. Festive season generally brings a cheer to the automotive industry, and let's see how that works. But thank you, Prashant, and wish you all the very best, you and your team members. Stay safe, stay well, and stay optimistic. And thank you for being with us, Prashant.
Thank you, Mr. Rajeshnath. Thank you. Wish you likewise. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.